What's up, Ali? How you doing, man?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on, man. We really appreciate it. We have our patrons here as well, so we've been talking about you here for the past hour. But for the people here who don't know,
yeah,
what happened to you in December of 2020?
In short, I had a stroke. It completely took me by surprise. I had just finished an initiative where I was running 10K a day, and a week later, I had a stroke.
And I imagine that this kind of caught you by surprise. You know, running a 10K a day, someone that's very physically active. But I'm curious, were there any sort of signs or medical history that would have even pointed towards this?
Hi, Tommy. No, to be fair, there weren't. And have we started or?
Yeah, we're going. We're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
So let me take you back. So this all ties into currently where I am today. And so bear with me because it's kind of a long story. Mm-hmm. Sadly, my dad committed suicide when I was 16, which was terribly sad. And it was kind of my first real taste of adversity, and I was truly and utterly heartbroken. I think adversity can offer you opportunities of greatness if you take them. For example, it brought me, my mum and my brother very close, and that's I try to put that I try to, every cloud has a silver lining. That's what I'm trying to say, and I truly believe in that. So I'm passionate. I'm a passionate advocate for all things mental health. Fast forward to October 2020, when we were going into our second lockdown because of COVID and all that malarkey. He said, I get a call from my mate, a very good mate, one day, and he said, he was kind of acting a little bit cold, and I was like, "Bud, what's wrong?" And he said, "Oh, sorry." He said, "It's Sophie. She's gone." And of course, I said in disbelief, "Where's she gone?" And my mate replied saying, "She's dead. She committed suicide." And that good friend said to me that she was absolutely fine. There was no red or black flags. And it was just so sad. And he also said that that was coming out of lockdown 1, and yeah, coming out of lockdown 1. So I decided that if people were worrying about their mental capacity over the coming months, or over that month, I wanted to help. And I don't mean for this to sound cliche, but if I could help one person, then it would be job done for me. And I honestly mean that. I was not good at running. Let me tell you that. Before I started 10K Turpie, I absolutely wasn't a 5K runner. I wasn't a 10K runner. I wasn't even a 100-meter sprinter. So the plan was to run 10K a day for 28 days. I started a page on Instagram called 10K Turpie. It kind of grew. People were starting to reach out to me, and yeah, I decided to run with others and talk about their own version of mental health and what it meant to them. I learned an awful lot about fitness, about mental health and fitness in that month. The key thing I learned is that fitness can be a tool, and it can be a tool to have really difficult conversations, and it gives individuals a sense of community that's more than just sport. And just a week later, as I said, when I least expected it, I suffered a stroke. It was an ischemic one. There's two types of strokes, ischemic and a hemorrhagic. I suffered a ischemic one where the blood clots. They don't know what happened, to answer your question, Tommy. But my stroke happened on Wednesday night / the early hours of Thursday morning. And it was like, I was in a taxi back from work, and I was speaking normally. And then bam, I couldn't say a word. I couldn't even say a single syllable. I went to hospital, and sorry, Alexa. I went to hospital, and when the consultant finally saw me, it was on the Friday evening, and I still wasn't able to talk. I'm not even talking about slurred talking now. Every time I would try to speak, this incoherent sound or noise would come out my mouth. Like whenever I would try to say something, it would just come out as So yeah. Later on that night, unbeknownst to me, the consultant caught up with my mum and my dear girlfriend, who's now my fiance. And he said that I might not ever be able to talk again. That was how serious my stroke was. Imagine that, my mother being told that her 28-year-old son, pre-stroke, I would talk the hind legs off a donkey, mind you. To be told that I was never going to be able to talk again was hit home hard. But that was the best thing that doctor ever could have done. So yeah, so I was so determined to prove that doctor wrong, never mind my stroke. So I started my recovery straight away, and little by little, I'm where I am today. Not fully recovered, but I'm just shy of 16 months into my recovery, and I want to make a full one.
That's an incredible story, and there's a lot that I want to talk about in there. At this point in your life, what was your involvement with CrossFit?
I started my CrossFit journey about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of a casual goer 3 times a week. And yeah, I train at CrossFit, at New Wave CrossFit. And I think CrossFit made me who I am today in the past year. So I trained 2 years, 3 times a week. And then since my stroke, I raised it up a bit. So I've got a lot to thank to CrossFit for where I am today, and New Wave especially. Plus another couple of things, because my mum would never forgive me. It gave me strength when I needed it the most. It gave me the solace that I needed to get my head out of a difficult, potentially dangerous situation. I pretty much aligned my speech therapy and CrossFit together, side by side. I remember doing the open workout in 2021, the scaled workout, and I promised myself on that day that I was going to, 1, speak again, and 2, compete in the RX category for 2022. So it gave me purpose to not focus on the long goal, because I would have been completely overwhelmed by that. But just to get my head down and work every day. Of course, there are good days and bad days. But I think we live in a world where, in my opinion, where as athletes, we don't show our shortcomings, but that's just my opinion. It kind of taught me, as an athlete with a goal, whatever your goal may be, you 100% have to listen to your body. There are days to push hard, and there are days to kind of dial it back a little bit. But my stroke has given me the stroke has given me the ability to progress as an athlete, listening to my body. As part of a community, multiple boxes fundraised for me. I got to train with my brother, which was awesome, because in my earliest stages, in Jan-Feb time, where I couldn't really speak, there were no words, and it was just so great to hang out. It was awesome because he's actually a doctor, and to see he could see the impact CrossFit was having on my recovery and our relationship. So, and also I was better at him at CrossFit. So it's always nice to win. It's always nice.
No doubt. And, you know, taking a look at some of the rehab process now. So, I know that depending on the area of the brain that the stroke occurs at, it can affect the different motor or the different motor functions, cognitive functions, etc. I'm curious, what part of the brain were you particularly affected at? And then maybe what were some of the early obstacles that you really had to work to try and get past to get yourself on that right path?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had my stroke on the left side of my brain. And for those of you who don't know, your left side controls the right-hand side of the body, and the right-hand side of your brain controls the left-hand side. So I had my stroke on my left side. So I was very lucky to be thrombolized in the 4-hour period. And if I hadn't have been done in that 4 hours, I could have risked complete disabledness. So my whole right side wasn't going to be working. I've got a slight weakness in my right hand side, but I didn't notice it at the time because my speech was my main goal. But since the open, the scaled open, the lifting complex, it's quite funny because I used to be right side dominant, and watching my old videos back, I lead with my left so much now, and that's I'm working on that, but it won't stop me.
You were going over the adversity that you had faced in your life and the things that had happened before you suffered the stroke. And I think when people are faced with that much, in their lives, you don't expect it, but you don't fault people if they kind of go down, I don't want to say the wrong path, but sort of get into a dark place. It seems like you didn't do that, and you were able to kind of stay positive and focus on helping people. Why do you think you were able to avoid going down a bad path after everything that had happened to you?
Because essentially, I want to help people. Because I really feel that with my own journey and talking about communicating my own journey, it's not easy. It's not easy for me. But if I can say to one person, I work on that one person thing all the time, because if you do something good for one person, then they might just tick along to another person, and you've then got 2 people, and they might go and tell another 2 people, and then that's 4 people, so on and so forth. But I was very lucky to have, I spoke to you about the relationship with my brother and my mother, and they kept me on the straight and narrow. And yeah, I've got a lot to thank for those guys.
Mm-hmm. And just hearing you say that, and listening to your story so far, it does seem like there is an inherent level of positivity, maybe in your personality, or wanting to help people even before your accident. And so I'm kind of curious, where do you feel like that came from? Is that something that was promoted in your family? And where were maybe some places that you drew maybe early inspiration in order to have that urge to help others and I guess perpetuate that mindset?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've never been asked that. I don't know. It's just, is it a cop out if I just say it's me?
Not at all.
No.
Yeah, but it's just, I would like to think it's just me, and I want to help people to the best of my ability. And I won't work for everyone, but some people might listen to me and hate my advice that I'm giving them, or my counsel, but I only give it from the best place, and it's how I see fit. So yeah.
When you started your rehabilitation process, and you made the decision that I'm going to beat this, I'm going to speak again. What were those first couple weeks, first couple months like for you working through that process?
I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. It was hard, but I didn't have many bad days, and I would be honest if that was the case. But through adversity, you are faced with 2 situations, in my opinion. You can either let it crumble you, or you can let it propel you. And in my stroke, that was easy. That was an easy side, because not speak again or speak again. And I know which one I'd rather. So that was easy for me, because I wanted to speak again. Pre-stroke, I would be pretty sure that I could talk myself into or out of any situation. And I I'm working so hard. I'm still working hard to get it back now. But yeah, so challenge, you face adversity with your big lifting belt, and hopefully you get out of the squat.
Yeah. You know, as someone who speaks for a living, I can appreciate the sentiment about being able to talk your way out of things. But one thing we talk about a ton and has been a part of, I guess, the essential element of CrossFit as a health methodology is, you know, as we build our fitness, it acts as a hedge against, you know, the inevitable or the things that we can't see that could potentially happen and push us back the other direction on that spectrum. And one thing that we've seen time and time again is that the elasticity of the body allows us to, even in the event of an accident or something like that, you know, slowly rediscover the things that we once were able to do. And so I'm curious if what were maybe some benchmarks that you kind of had circled, like you mentioned, you know, the open and being able to do a RX. Were there any other things inside of the gym that were like the benchmarks and kind of clues for you that like, okay, I got that. Now I'm moving on to this. I want to be able to do this again, or this is when I know I'm starting to kind of get my groove back.
Yeah. Before the stroke, I didn't have bar muscle ups. I didn't have ring muscle ups. I didn't have pistols. I almost didn't have any technical, slightly technical CrossFit moves. And then I decided that if I was going to do the open RX, that I would need all of those moves. And I worked hard, but I worked hard on the days that I could afford myself to work hard, because let me tell you, the stroke takes it out of you. I used to sleep 14 hours a day, which gave me a good whoop score. So yeah, but yeah, but that's does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just kind of curious, you know, like you know, this is, you know, for someone like myself, right? Like I know if something bad were to happen, I have always been a good deadlifter. I've always been a good runner. Certain elements of the fitness that I have let me know that, hey, I'm starting to feel like myself again. I'm starting to get back towards some level of fitness to where I feel comfortable, like not maybe comfortable is the wrong word, but I feel like that I am getting to a point where almost like I feel like myself again. Like, you know, we all have we all have those things. Like for you, like for a great example is that like you feel like you can talk your way out of any situation, and that's almost like a badge that you carry, right? And I feel like anytime something bad happens, we don't feel like ourselves, we kind of lose those badges and those pieces of flair that make us ourselves. And so I'm just always curious if, you know, if there were a few things, like for me it would be deadlift. Like if I could start to pull, you know, certain weights and deadlift again, and I felt comfortable with it, I'd be like, okay, I'm kind of back.
I always, I'm a squatter. So I challenged myself throughout my whole CrossFit journey to get a 200 kilo back squat. I'm not sure how many pounds that is.
140.
Yeah. And I wanted to row 5K in under 18 minutes. So, or under 17 minutes 30. And in the same week, it was actually, funnily enough, I swear to you, this is true. On my stroke anniversary, I got up and I lifted 200 kilos back squat. That was something that I was chasing for 3 years. And in the same week, I got a 5K row at 17.3.
Wow.
Yes.
Didn't you also get engaged? that day too? Like, didn't you also get engaged to your fiance?
Yeah.
So that's
you've done your homework.
I have.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was So you made that. You definitely turned that day around. 1 year later,
but yeah, it was kind of nice because I surprised her so well because she's all over me. So planning a surprise for her is very difficult, almost more difficult than the Open altogether. So I surprised her, and I kind of wanted to do it on that day to have good memories. But she was, we were both ecstatic, and she's done a lot for me throughout my stroke recovery, and yeah.
And it's a great point, because I think sometimes these things can be harder. I don't want to say harder, but they are very difficult on the people around the person who suffered whatever, just because they don't know how to help, and they don't know, they want to help, and they feel like maybe they're not doing enough. How did your girlfriend help you, and how do the people around you just help you through this?
I've got a very good family system. I've got a good friend system, and my fiance absolutely killed it. I don't really know how they did it, because, but they just did. And I can't really give you anything else than that. They were supportive. They always put me on a pedestal, but not too much. I have a very fine line between what's too much and what is enough. And all of my friends and family and fiance work that amazingly. And I wouldn't be anywhere near recovered where I am without them. So yeah, that and CrossFit, big yes.
Nice. What January of last year, you posted a photo of your brain scans, and you were discussing, you're highlighting some of the elements of what that physically looked like. I think it was 18 days after your stroke. And one thing that you mentioned is that there is some permanent damage, but the beauty of the brain and its neuroplasticity in general is that you can discover new pathways. And for people who may not be familiar, like, what does that look like? Because I think you hear there's some permanent damage and they just immediately assume, okay, that's a door that's going to stay closed and we can't necessarily find another way.
Well, it just goes back to what the doctor said. My consultant on that Friday, he said that I was never, I'm not over dramatizing this. He said categorically that I was never going to be able to speak again. So I found new pathways, and through hard work and an awful lot of determination, I'm here. I'm living to tell the tale. And that's why I want to tell as many people as I can to not let, I don't want to say any medical professionals down, but I'm a living case of what you can achieve through hard work and determination.
Yeah. And to kind of segue that into a follow-up question for this, you also posted that you got to, after the stroke, about a little over a year in this past February, you got to direct your first Champions League studio show, which anyone that maybe isn't familiar with TV, being in the director's chair is an incredibly verbal forward position, right? There's, a few dozen people that are listening to you talk. You are commanding the show through verbal cues and moving through, a ton of different things, particularly in a big studio segment like that for the Champions League. So what did it mean to you to be able to do that? Maybe what were some of the feelings coming in and coming out of it once it were done? And last, but certainly not least, who's your football club?
Chelsea are my football club. Who do you support?
I'm a Liverpool fan.
Shall I just hang up now?
That's why I didn't want to say it.
No, yeah, that was an awesome experience, and one that I didn't do before my stroke. I actually had my stroke, and then I was kind of a junior director in pre-stroke, and after the stroke, I worked hard, and my company BT worked hard. They're the right showers in the UK, and yeah, I worked hard with my speech therapist, and slowly but surely, I was allowed to do it, and it went well. I can't tell you how many times we've practiced that repetition, repetition, repetition. It makes it good in the end.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there was moments where once you got into the groove, maybe that you felt like you were less affected, you know, almost like it was a subconscious thing through the repetition? Or was it, and this is just my lack of familiarity with that process. Yeah. Do you feel like it was still, there were elements that you had to practice particularly versus like just getting into that flow state?
Yes and no. So directing is, you have to cue people in short, efficient ways. So the directing part was kind of the easy part. It's when I go off piece that I struggle a little bit. So for example, I don't know, an example. So an example is, do you want the cue lights on the cameras? And I'll say that to the presenter while she's talking. And pre-stroke, that would take me 3 or 4 seconds. And post-stroke, it would take me arguably 6 seconds, just for say. And that is a long time over talk back. You know the drill. But yeah, kind of both.
Yeah. While you're going through rehab and you're trying to work your way back into your job, you're still going to your box. What did it mean for you to have that space where you could go and just, you know, be around a supportive community and work out and, you know, forget about everything that was going on?
The community in New Wave CrossFit is honestly a dream. It meant so much to me that I could just go there and not say a word if I didn't want to, or carry on talking and practicing, because they've seen me. I went out last Christmas and I bumped into my CrossFit owner, and it was maybe 2 weeks after the stroke, or 3 or 4 weeks, and I was literally there. I knew what I wanted to say, but the words they just weren't coming out. Fraser Brent is his name, and he's amazing. But honestly, it's this whole, I don't know what CrossFit attribute it to, but it's just such an amazing community. So yeah, so that really meant a lot to me.
I don't know if you've had a similar experience, but I've found that since I've been doing CrossFit since 2007, that it has taught me to be more patient with processes, working through things. What was the effect that, you know, being in the gym every day and learning new skills and trying to perfect, whether it be a bar muscle up, what did that teach you that you then took into your speech therapy?
That repetition, perfect repetition makes progress.
Mm-hmm.
to put it quite simply. And just, yeah, again, I likened it to my CrossFit journey and my speech therapy, and it kind of went beautifully hand in hand. Yeah, so yeah.
Man, and so, you know, obviously that you were about a, you know, year and what, 4 months removed
Yep.
from that instance. What does your process look like now? What, you know, as far as extensive rehab, are there daily routine, anything like that
Yep.
kind of helps you square up?
I still go to speech therapy twice a week, every week. And that will continue until I feel that I'm at a crescendo with it. But I work out every morning at 7 till 8:30. I work from home unless we have a show to do, because we're still under BT, still under COVID rules. So yeah, I just kind of go into the office when I'm needed. Yeah.
You know, you were able to do the Open scaled in 2021, which is a phenomenal achievement given what you had been through. What was it like for you to first, you know, just get through those 3 weeks and understand that, okay, now I can make progress and work towards my goal of 2022 doing it RX?
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed the challenge of it. And I was like, 2021 scaled RX, scaled version, scaled open version. And I was just like, in 2022, I'm gonna compete in the RX category, and it would be amazing if I qualify in the top 10% of Europe to go on to the quarterfinals. I did my workout one, which I scored, I think it was 169 reps, which was quite good. The second I did what I didn't score quite as well. I was maybe in about the 93rd percentile. 83rd percentile. I'm not sure. But that was after a weekend in Amsterdam with my fiance. Yeah. So that was do it on a Monday, one and done. Thank you very much. Good night. And then the next workout came along, and it was the thrusters and the chest bar, chin ups, and bar muscle ups. And I did it on the Friday, and I got 12 of the bar muscle ups. And if that was on the Friday, I submitted my score. If that was closed off to the Friday only, I would have qualified for the quarterfinals. But as the weekend went on, I was just dropping down and down, down and down and down. And I was like, fuck's sake, I have to do it again. Sorry for swearing.
No, it's okay.
I think we've all been there during the Open. Just watch your name go.
Yeah. And I finally did it. And I got 14:57 to qualify for the quarterfinals.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Unbelievable.
That's epic.
How'd that go for you, the quarterfinals?
Oh,
did you do all the shuttle runs?
Yeah. That workout was absolutely horrendous, but it was a vibe.
I gotta ask, did you feel it in your back at all from bending down and touching? Because that kind of snuck up on me.
Not really, because I was doing the shuttles quite slowly.
I can relate.
Yeah. Tommy, we're not like you. We're not all runners.
Oh man.
So yeah, but it was hard.
You during your rehabilitation process and everything you've been going through, you've been pretty open about what's been going on. You have your Instagram account, Apraxia Man, where you post that stuff. Why did you decide to be that open about what you were going through?
Because I felt that a lot of I had a stroke, and all the people that I didn't know had a stroke before, and it was like I was kind of a part of that club, a newly member, and so many people just kept on reaching out to me, and I had a stroke last year, but I was so silent about it, and I decided to make the account the Apraxia Man to help people again, but as a voice, because you shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't fear what you're going through. And is that right? You shouldn't be scared about what's happened to you. Do you understand that kind of?
Yeah.
So I wanted to help people, and by helping them, that was in my arsenal of how best to help people, just by talking about it and normalizing it. So yeah, that's why I did it. So speech and language therapists all over the world follow me. And I was I've been likened to, someone said this to me, so I'm not blowing smoke up my trumpet. She said I was a beacon of light, which was so badly needed. And that's what I hope to bring to all stroke survivors, because there are a lot of them. So if I can do that, I go back to just one person. If I can do that for one person, then it's job done for me. And if I can make a stroke survivor's day better with my adversity, then it's job done.
You mentioned the person that reached out to you saying you're a beacon of light. Is there, in your whole journey through this whole thing, I know you've probably impacted a lot of people. What are the ones that stand out to you the most, that not only stick in your mind, but also maybe push you to continue to do this?
As a general rule, everyone who I've helped gives me the motivation to carry on and to be the best version of myself. I'm better today than I was yesterday. I'm better yesterday than I was the day before. And that's just how I live my life. So yeah.
And I only have one last question, and it's maybe it's a little bit of how you've been able to kind of view yourself in all of this. I feel like sometimes something like this happens, whether it's a stroke or something that kind of catches you off guard, some people can have the mindset shift where they feel like their body's almost kind of betrayed them. It takes some time to kind of regain that trust in their own body, and and have faith in that process. But then we hear about you, not having muscle ups before, not having, pistols and ring muscle ups, and then seeing you in the quarterfinals doing all of those movements. Where is your appreciation for what your physical capabilities are now?
I'm just getting warmed up.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a big believer in fate. I don't know if you guys are. But I'm a big believer in fate, and my cards are already written for me. I'm not particularly religious, but I feel that I was always going to have a stroke on the 10th of December 2020. And right now we were supposed to have this chat. And that's kind of a nice way of looking at it, in my opinion, because if you didn't look at it like that, you would drive yourself crazy. So yeah, so that's what I believe in. I believe in fate. I believe in goodwill, hard work, and you'll get there.
I only have a couple more questions, and the first one is this: what have you learned about yourself going through this entire experience?
I was so unaware of my body before my stroke, and it really gave me the opportunity to really hone down and listen to my body. So I used to be like, no rest days, no rest days, work harder, work longer, I was just so overwhelmed, and I truly believe that after my stroke, I worked smarter, not harder, and for longer. So yeah, it's kind of made me really listen to my body. When I'm tired, I have to dial it down a little bit. I'll train, I'll sleep, I'll train tomorrow, and don't be too hard on yourself, because the second that you are, in my opinion, you create injuries, you create all sorts of demons. So yeah, that's what I've learned.
And then the final question is if there are people out there who are listening to this who know someone who may be in a similar situation that you are, recovering from a stroke, what are some resources that you found during your journey back that they might find helpful, that can help them get through what they're doing?
Yeah, follow the Apraxia Man for motivation on how you can speak again. Reach out to me. I would advise getting a good speech therapist, and practice makes perfect. I can't stress that enough. You're going to have bad days, and as soon as you accept that, those bad days will slowly turn into good days, and good days are what we all need.
Absolutely. Well, Ali, it was definitely a great day for us being able to spend this time with you and hear about your story. We really appreciate you doing this. Best of luck moving forward. And maybe next year we'll see you in semifinals.
Yes. Yes. Thanks for having me, guys. It really means a lot to me. Big fans of the both of you. And take care.
Thank you. You too. And best of luck moving forward, man. Hope to meet you in person soon.
You too.